Well, hello there. This is Jen. I am back with the next episode of Tattoos and Toddlers with a bit of sad news today that one of our beloved offbeat and alternative publications has made an announcement that they are going to be closing up shop. And when I got the news, this is on the cusp of we had this amazing Wizard of Oz styled shoot that we've been waiting on for a little over 6 months to publish. And this wonderful publication took it up upon themselves to tell our story and to tell the creativity of this photo shoot. And so to get the news that they were closing up shop and they're not putting out the next issue, it was pretty devastating. But to be quite honest, it was more devastating to find out that knowing that they have been struggling on many different fronts, but also on their personal front, where, the main editor was needing to really focus on their family. And so I took it upon myself to, well, number one, wish them well and really think about sending them love to the family because it's a hard place to be when you're in a moment of caretaking or hospice or anything that's kind of like it takes over your life and it's hard to do two things at one time. But what also hit me and struck me was that in the beginning of this journey of Weirdo Weddings, right? I'm a wedding photographer. I have been for 16 years, give or take. I try to do the math of how long I've been married and like subtract 2 years. So about 16 years I've been doing this. But only in the last 3 have I really been doing something, I'm even more passionate about, which is starting Weirdo Weddings, and Weirdo Weddings came from a place of serving people I was already serving, but now I've kind of, like, let myself be that lighthouse to other weirdos in the world and other people that really need a safe space to have their wedding, to be celebrated and included. So, it was natural for me when I started working with Lizzie Gator to as we decided to both kind of get on the map with our newest projects and our newest brands, meeting Lizzie Gator was kind of in the same boat as me. We, brand new venue. I'm a brand new brand. Um, and we were trying to see what we could do to get out into the world. And Outrageous Bride, the magazine publication, was one of the first people that we approached, and I believe that Lizzie's the one that tagged me, and we loved the covers of the magazines. It looked like people that we would probably work with. It was super creative and with, just all kinds of magical and whimsical thoughts and ideas coming out of it. So, when I started Weirdo Weddings, it was like, well, in order to go forward, I need more photography content, right? To showcase who I'm working with and showcase, coming out of the pandemic and not barely having any clients to go into 2021. That way I could, um, have some new content going forward, right? So when I made the decision to go forward, I started calling people and I was like, hey, y'all, I need some new content for this new brand. I have this great idea and you're a real couple. Can we go do this idea? And in order to make those ideas feel more, I guess, larger than us, we figured that publication was the next logical step. And I felt the same way. I was like, well, I had never in the past made an effort to get published. I didn't know much about the process. I kind of in passing knew about it because I've been an artist for so long. I knew how to submit for artist publications and how each publication was different for the art world versus the wedding world. Because in the art world, you're very specific to whatever theme that they're casting out to you. In the wedding world, like I felt like there was a lot more creativity in what I could bring to the table. And I still believe this to be true. So the fact that one of our own creative family is having to close up shop is really heartbreaking because and let me tell you my experience with Outrageous Bride. And this is nothing but a love letter to them. So I need y'all to understand that this podcast episode today is a love letter to Outrageous Bride and what they meant to me and what they have meant to me over the last 3 years. So when I started Weirdo Weddings, right, I needed some more content, and I teamed up with Lizzie Gator, and we did The Bride of Frankenstein. And it went really well. Like, we got a lot of images. I also realized the difference between doing wedding planning versus wedding photography, and I realized I was more hands-on in the planning than I was in the photography, so there's some things that I forgot. As far as what I felt like was the whole picture of the story. So, I actually walked away from the shoot, like, both upset and happy at the same time, because I didn't wanna let anybody down. And so what I ended up doing was I was submitting to Outrageous Bride first. Because Lizzie and I had a plan, we had a mission, we had a dream to get on the cover of one of these magazines, and really it was gonna be up to me to visually present options, right? So I went to Outrageous Bride first, and it had to be the most devastating answer I got, which is so funny because we should be used to being rejected, and especially as an artist, like, but for me it was like, oh man, I didn't get the cover. Well, I guess everything sucks, which is not the case. Which is totally not the case. So Outrageous Bride totally rejected us for the cover. But I think they were trying to find a spot for us somewhere later on in the magazine. But that was my first experience was, "Hey, Jen, we love your ideas, but you're not a fit for the cover. Maybe we can get you into the magazine." You know what I mean? So I was devastated and I cried on that. And then, but it didn't deter me from like continuing to submit because I saw all the people they already had in the magazine. I loved the covers. I loved their social media content. I knew that I was a fit. It was just a matter of what and when and how it was all going to work out. So yeah, my first experience was a great rejection, and then I ended up taking The Bride of Frankenstein elsewhere, and then then comes the idea of, okay, I have these weddings I did in 2020, right? So I had a leap day wedding, and then I had a little lakeside elopement, which was a beautiful, beautiful thing. And so that was the next thing I pitched to them was the lakeside elopement with a hand fasting. And I had just enough content, I felt, to tell the whole story of their day. Being that that was my first, I guess my first elopement in the middle of the pandemic where we were all social distancing and all being locked in our house. I think we all locked down in March, right? So this was more like September. And so when I pitched it to the Outrageous Bride, they loved it, and they also requested one additional photo, which I thought was great, was them eating the cupcakes because we had cupcakes and they also had whiskey shots. So Outrageous Bride in that moment was so easy to work with because I just sent them the best photos for the publication, knowing that I may or may not have 1 to 2 pages, but also knowing that I needed to tell the story of the couple. So I did the whole thing with the couple, and the couple answered all the questions, and we had all the vendors laid out that was a part of it. Even though it was a super small elopement, there was a lot of details. So that was my second experience with Outrageous Bride, and I believe it was issue number 4. So they were still kind of new, right? Like, and they were pumping them out like twice a year, I think, at one point, and which, maybe it was 3 times a year, I don't know, twice a year, 3 times a year, either way, I looked forward to seeing what the cover was gonna be next, and so when I did Alice in Wonderland, well, guess what? I got rejected for that one too, and so I had to take it elsewhere, but at the same token, like, it's great that some of these themes were overlapping in these publications and magazines, but it also, it made me think harder as a photographer, like, what could I do to get somebody's attention to put me on the cover or even put me in the magazine with a fantastic spread? So, I love the fact that I was, rejected just as much as I was celebrated at Outrageous Bride, and I think the point of this is I was sad because this morning because they're one of those, places that I know I could go and safely pitch ideas, and knowing that I would not be made fun of or I would not be rejected and for, any other reason than maybe I would just wasn't a fit. But there's places that I go that I simply don't fit. My photography doesn't fit, my ideas don't fit. And so when I say I've lost a part of the creative family, it's true. Like I feel like I've lost a part of my crew that I could call up and say, "Hey, I have this idea. Would this be great content for you?" And so in going on to the next one where I was accepted was my lovely San Francisco elopement. And yes, and another reason why Outrageous Bride was amazing is because they were open to styled shoot concepts. And there's a lot of wedding blogs and publications out there that are not open to styled shoots, and I understand why. I really do. However, I think I would be doing a disservice to my personal clientele if I didn't show ideas. And so, but I don't want it to just come from me. It needs to come from other voices, like publications talking about you or publications printing your images and stuff like that. So I felt like I still needed to get stuff out there, but in styled shoot format. And I think that's what Weirdo Weddings is about, is that if you haven't dreamed up your dream wedding yet, then I can help guide you to that. And I think that's why I like doing styled shoots. And there was one year I did 19 in 1 year, and I'm still waiting. I may not wait much longer, but I still am waiting for a platform to really speak about how that transformed my business in so many different ways. And so I'll be working on a talk on that, hopefully in the next little bit. So just kind of like a side note, that these styled shoots, as much as they are seemingly cast aside as not relevant, I feel like they are very relevant for those of us out here that are very creative, and we may never see our ideas come to life because our clients may not like those ideas. And this goes for the planners and designers. Like, let's just be honest, like there's only so much you can do at a wedding day. If your client's not on board with it, then you're never going to see the concept come to life. And I think there's something about taking a sidebar and having a time where you can make one of your ideas come to life. It's just like doing a painting or making a photograph. Like, I wanted to make something happen and a realization to show possibility. And I think a lot of us are out here to show our clients possibilities. I just wanted to do it on a styled shoot level, showcasing here's what you could do on your elopement. Here's what you could do on your wedding day. These are little things that you can do on your wedding day that are super, super, super fun. So I'm so glad Outrageous Bride has been a part of that with me, because the next one that was published was my one on San Francisco where they eloped to the beach. And it was more of a Halloween-y, witchy vibe to it with a splash of Lord of the Rings. And they showcased it so beautifully, and the layout was so wonderful, and the couple just ranted and raved about how wonderful they felt just being included into it. And that's kind of how I feel when I'm accepted into a publication, is that it's so cool to feel included and almost validated for your work. And, a part of what I'm doing is telling stories. And if a story goes beyond me, I feel like it's a success. One of the next ones I got published in Outrageous Bride was Love and Lavender, and it was a very beautiful setup with some wonderful Dallas-based wedding pros that we set up flowers, we set up the event venue, we had picnic table, we had, rainforest designs came out and just nailed it. And we even had something fall outside. The whole arch fell and she rebuilt it all the way back up. But the publication doesn't show that or tell that story, right? What it shows is the beauty of those moments that we shared together at our, little styled shoot wedding. And I work in such a way that I feel like I have to have a wedding. If somebody's going to be there, they're going to be an officiant or a bride or a groom or a bride or a bride. I feel like it needs to look and feel like a wedding. Like, I'll have people actually walk through and talk with each other. They'll walk the aisle. I just feel like doing it in the most authentic fashion really helps me get the content correct for the styled shoots. And this is just me talking. Okay. This is Weirdo Weddings. I do things differently. Um, and finally I'll end it with, well, actually not end it because it's going to be open-ended. When I approached them with my 222 wedding concept at Lizzie Gator, they loved and adored that, and how we had a beautiful couple just get married on 22222. And it was a wonderful spread. And the couple was just over the moon that they were included in their story was told, and Lizzie Gator was on, in the spread, and their chapel and everything, all this hard work that we've been doing with building our brands. It's nice to have the story told and seen out there with these wonderful venues and wedding pros out there. And it's another thing too, like, as a photographer, I'm trying to showcase at least everybody who was there, not to mention the couple. So I have I have the people that maybe did the cake, I have the people that did this and that. I wanted to showcase their work as well, and that meant, like, I had to have a photo to submit for every person who was involved. And so it's a lot of work to go behind the scenes and do all of this. And maybe some of y'all find it a little easier. I find it very challenging, and it's rewarding, but it is very challenging. I'll just leave it at that. Yeah, it's so challenging and rewarding at the same time. So also what I wanted to end with was what happened today, and knowing that we've been waiting for over 6 months to find out what was gonna happen with our wonderful Wizard of Oz. And I'm so in love with this story, y'all. Like, it's a real couple. We had some amazing wedding pros come in and we did like a balloon cake with the couple on it. We had, Rainforest came in again with some of her lovely flowers. We had Katie with Heart and Sola Creations come in. And, and Katie and I met on Clubhouse, and we're doing something long distance, right? Like she brought in a bouquet for the wood flowers that we could showcase. And I took so many different photos of her bouquet with everything and all these details that now I'm trying to find another spot for them to go, because it's just such a wonderful story and a wonderful shoot that I am waiting to see where I can take this next. And it's been a day, y'all. I already cried this morning, and it's just because it all means something to me. And I left a voice message with all of my friends that have been doing this shoot with me. We've been waiting so patiently, and I even had Brian with Vows and Speeches come in and write something. I filmed it and everything. I had video of it. I had Jasmine with Joined by Jasmine being our officiant, and I had the wonderful couple. I had Rebecca and Chris be a part of it. We had Lizzie Gator, of course, who's always down for a really good idea. And of course we had exceptional weather that day. It was just beautiful. And we were all very proud of the setup, and I was super proud of the setup and so happy to get to photograph it and really, really just have some fun with it. I even made like Brian's Vows talked about munchkins, but he was alluding to the fact that Dunkin' Donuts sells munchkins, and I was like, well, that means I need to have like a donut hole tower, right? Like I'll have a munchkin tower. And so I went and did that. I went and put that together, and with Grace helping me with, her designs by Gigi. Not only did she make the cake, but she brought her macaroon tower so that I could make the munchkin tower and make it look very interesting and simple and happy and wonderful. And so I really, really look forward to sharing this photo shoot with y'all. It is a beautiful styled shoot. It is an inspirational styled shoot. It has got wonderful color tones and mixtures of characters and words that mean something. And so it's just one of those things where I'm very sad that this happened, but I'm also grateful for the time that we've had with Outrageous Bride, to have that space where I have felt included and I have felt seen and creatively validated. It is, and, especially in the wedding industry where I tend to go a little off the rails sometimes. And I love it though, because when am I ever going to get a chance to do that? If somebody doesn't like that theme, they're not going to do it for their wedding. But if I show them possibility, I like to think that my clients would find their own ideas and find their way through with their own creativity and have their own themes, which is great. But I also too want to have my creativity satisfied with some of these random ideas I have, and it's just a blast. So all that to say that Outrageous Bride and Outrageously Wed, we wish you all the luck and love in your life going forward and in your future. I've already privately messaged Linda, giving her all of my love. But this is truly a love letter to what Outrageous Bride has meant to me and where it fell in the Weirdo Weddings part of my life. So I'm just very, very grateful. And thank you to Outrageous Bride for all of the years of hard work and blood, sweat, and tears, and all the things that you gave the UK and the world, because we all saw your content. We all read the stories. We all loved seeing all of the inspiration. So thank you, Outrageous Bride. And I hope to see y'all on the flip side. But I just want to thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Tattoos and Toddlers, where Jen here with Weirdo Weddings, I am consistently thinking about how to juggle life, well, not even juggle, but how to work your life around what you love, and being a family person and also a business person, and also having super fun tattoo stories. So stay tuned for my next future guests, and also I look forward to hearing from you. I'll talk to you soon.